It was late September when I booked the Airbnb. My girlfriend 𝗧𝗏𝗏 and I planned to visit her sister in the small town of Brookhaven, Vermont, about 3 hours from where we lived. I picked the house because it was cheap, had solid reviews, and the photos made it look warm and cozy. A 2-story home with a wraparound porch, hardwood floors, and golden lighting in the living room. The listing mentioned one detail I brushed off. The basement storage room was off limits. I'd stayed at places where hosts kept certain areas locked. No big deal. But when we arrived near sunset, the house felt heavier than the photos suggested. Its paint was peeling, the porch creaked under our weight, and it stood alone against a wall of black trees, the nearest neighbor's home barely visible down the narrow road. The host, Marlon Dace, was already waiting on the porch before we even got out of the car. He was in his late 50s, tall but hunched, with thinning gray hair combed flat against his scalp. His flannel shirt was pressed crisp, tucked into his jeans with military neatness. He smiled at us, but it was a smile that never touched his eyes. His gaze lingered just a fraction too long when we shook hands, like he was memorizing us. He led us inside, pointing out each room. The house smelled faintly of dust and something sweet, almost like candle wax, though I saw no candles. The living room had a couch facing an old TV. The kitchen was clean but outdated, the tiles yellowed with age. Upstairs, the bedroom held a queen bed beneath a slowly turning ceiling fan. On the way back down, Marlon stopped at a locked door near the kitchen. A heavy padlock hung from it. He tapped it with his knuckle and, in a voice firmer than before, told us this was the basement and it stayed locked. "Nothing down there for you," he said flatly. His smile was gone. After he left, we tried to settle in, unpacked, made tea, sat on the porch. The crickets sang, the woods rustled, but the silence otherwise was suffocating. When we climbed into bed, the stillness was almost hostile. That first night around midnight, I thought I heard a faint thud beneath us, a dull, heavy sound, as though something dropped on cement. I held my breath, straining for more, but nothing came. Old house, I told myself. Wood shifts, pipes rattle. Still, unease crept in. The second night, unease became terror. At 2:30 a.m., I woke to the sound of dragging from below, something heavy scraping across a rough floor. 5 seconds, then silence. Then again. My blood ran cold. My first thought, Marlon came back, but hadn't he said he wouldn't be around? I stood in the hall, listening. When I whispered to Sylvie if she was awake, she nodded, eyes wide. She'd heard it too. The third night was worse. This time, footsteps, not random creaks, but paced, deliberate steps, 4 or 5 at a time, then a pause. Waiting. Listening. Then 3 more. Between them, Sylvie swore she heard breathing. I clutched her hand under the sheets, too afraid to move. By morning, the air in the house felt heavier, almost suffocating. I checked the basement door in daylight, still locked. But when I leaned close, a foul scent seeped through, a sour, damp rot that made my stomach turn. That night, the noises began earlier. Metal clinks, faint taps, as though something metallic was being handled in the dark. The footsteps came again, relentless. Sylvie barely spoke, her silence thicker than words. Then came the discovery. While brushing her hair, Sylvie froze. "Does the smoke detector look off to you?" she whispered. I climbed on the bed to check. A small, glossy black dot shone in the middle of the plastic, wrong against the matte surface. My heart stopped. I unscrewed it, and inside was a tiny camera, green light glowing. Panic surged. I tore through the room and found another hidden lens near the dresser mirror, aimed perfectly at the bed. Sylvie sat frozen, pale, trembling. My thoughts reeled. How many nights? How many recordings? Was he watching live? We stuffed our belongings into bags, left the house without a word, and drove until we found a gas station. There we called the police. 2 officers met us and followed us back. The door was unlocked. They seized the cameras, pulled the devices apart, gathered every trace of evidence. Then we led them to the basement. The door, once locked, now hung open. The stench hit instantly, mildew, sweat, something sourer. The officers went down with flashlights. Within moments, shouts echoed up the stairs. When we descended, my stomach turned to ice. Hiding in a closet in the basement was Marlon himself. Inside the closet sat a monitor, wires coiled like snakes, a feed connected to the cameras upstairs. The officers yanked him out, cuffed him, and charged him on the spot for trespass, for invasion of privacy, for whatever else they'd uncover. Airbnb offered us a voucher, a bribe disguised as compensation. We took it, but it didn't erase the nights spent listening to breathing in the dark or the knowledge that for days we had been watched, every move, every moment. Now, hotels only. No more Airbnbs. For Sylvie and me, the sound of dragging across a floor in silence is something we'll never forget.